Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Hello, my name is Naila Putri Ramadhani as the chairperson.
And my name is Malaya Sofia Turiskia, as parent.
My name is Ladiva Ayu Pramesti as a teacher.
My name is Tanya Witri Nadifa Selma as a headmaster.
My name is Soluna Mazeduna Chua as a student.
My name is Aswia Rahma Maldia as a psychology student.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Nice.
Fine.
All right, thank you for participating in this discussion and welcome to today's discussion. And then the statement we are considering is parents should be allowed to accompany their children in studying at home if they wish. This is an important and sometimes controversial issue, right? Like, on the one hand, parental involvement can improve children's motivation and performance. On the other hand, some argue that too much parental involvement may lead to pressure, confusion, or even conflict with teachers. And then we have five perspectives today. The first one is from a parent, a teacher, a student, a headmaster, and a student psychologist. Each will present their views and I will summarize and guide the conversation. Now, let us begin with the parent's perspective.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. So, in my view, parents should absolutely accompany their children in studying. Parents are the first educators. We teach our children values, discipline, and curiosity long before they enter school. Why should we step aside once formal education begins? For example, when my son studies English, I sit with him, check his work, and explain concept if he struggles. This way, I can make sure he doesn't fall behind. Teachers have dozens of students, they cannot give the same personal attention I can give to my child. Of course, I know some parents may not have much time or expertise, but at least they can provide encouragement and set routines and monitor progress. In my opinion, saying parents should not be deeply involved is unfair. We are responsible for our children's success, and we have the right to guide them closely.
All right, thank you so much for submitting your statement. And to summarize, the parent believes parents are the first and most responsible educators. They argue that close accompaniment ensures attention and discipline, which schools may not always provide that. And now, let us hear from teacher's perspective.
Okay, thank you. As a teacher, I agree that parents play a main role, but I must raise some concern. Parents often mean well, but they are not trained to be an educators. And for instance, I once had parents who insist their child learn multiplication using an old-fashioned method. The child become confused because it clashes with what we taught in the class. And another issue is pressure. Some parents push their children too hard, demanding long hours for study without breaks. Instead of supporting, they create the child's stress. And I have seen students cry because they fear disappointing their parents more than failing an exam. And it could be argued that parents should accompany children, but they should not interfere with teaching method. Teachers are trained to know how to balance knowledge, skill, and child development. Parents must ask the teacher in that area.
All right, thank you for submitting your statement as a teacher. And to summarize, the teacher appreciate parental involvement, but warns against overstepping. Misaligned methods and excessive pressure can harm students. And at this point, I noticed a potential disagreement between the parent and teacher. So, for parent, would you like to respond? All right, one more time, parent, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would. With respect, I think teachers sometimes underestimate parents. Uh, Give me just a moment. I want to think first. I think teachers sometimes underestimate parents. You say we are not trained educators. That may be true, but we know our own children far better than any teacher can. If my son struggles, I cannot simply wait for the teacher. I must step in immediately. Isn't that my duty as a parent?
Okay, I understand with your point, parents, but there is a race when parents teach differently from the school curriculum. For the example, if you teach shortcut in math, it may seem easier at home, but it's confused the child in the class assessment. This makes slow down progress, and parents may know their children well, but without professional knowledge, they can unintentionally harm the learning.
But isn't it worse to leave a child struggling while waiting for the teacher? I mean, at home, I can provide instant help. Also, children sometimes open up more to parents than to teacher. If teachers guide us parents better, perhaps we would not make these so-called mistakes.
Yes, exactly, and that is my point. Parents should be involved, but in cooperation with teachers, not in the competition with them. And if parents takes over, it creates confusion. If parents and teacher coordinate, then the child will have the benefits.
All right, thank you both. To summarize this statement, the parents argues that parents have a duty and right to guide the children closely, while the teacher emphasized the importance of professional methods and avoiding interference. Both sides agree that cooperation is essential, but they differ on how much independence parents should have. And now let's hear from students' perspective.
Okay, thank you. As a student, I can see both sides of this conflict. When my parents help me, I feel supported. For example, when I had trouble with history, my mom asks me questions as if she were the teachers. That made studying more fun. But sometimes it becomes too much. My dad checks every answer task in my English work and insists I redo it until it's perfect. I end up feeling nervous instead of learning. Sometimes I just want space to figure things out myself. So, from my view, parents should accompany us, but not in a way that replaces the teacher or makes us anxious. What we need is encouragement and guidance, not pressure. I think that's all.
All right, thank you. To summarize, the student highlighted the benefits of parental support, but also stressed the stress caused by excessive supervision. Support should empower, not overwhelm, right? And now let's turn to the headmaster's perspective.
Okay, as a headmaster, I observe these dynamics on a larger scale. I can confidently say that students whose parents accompany them in studying often perform better. For example, one boy in my school improved his writing skills dramatically because his parents worked with him every evening. However, I also see problems when parents and teachers are not aligned. Some parents complain that their child is not progressing fast enough. But when we investigate, we discover that the child is being taught contradictory methods at home. This undermines the teacher's work. It could also be argued that parental involvement works best when schools provide clear guidance. For instance, we could hold parents' workshop to explain how to support children effectively. That way, parents can help without creating conflict or confusion. So, I believe in strong parental involvement, but always in partnership with the school. Parents, teachers, and schools must work together, not against each other.
All right, thank you, Headmaster. To summarize, the headmaster supports parental involvement but emphasizes that it must be guided by the school to avoid contradictions. Collaboration is key to studying success. Finally, let us hear from the student psychologists.
Okay, from a psychological perspective, the impact of parental accompaniment depends largely on how it's done. When parents accompany with passion and encouragement, children develop confidence, motivation, and stronger family bonds. For example, children who know their parents and are interested in their learning often approach school with more enthusiasm. Even small gesture like asking, "What did you learn today?" can boost motivation. On the other hand, when parents accompany with strictness or constant criticism, the effect can be damaging. Children may develop anxiety, fear of failure, or even resentment towards studying. I have met students who pretended to study just to avoid conflict with their parents. It can also be argued that children need space to grow independently. If parents hover too closely, children might feel they are not trusted. The healthiest approach is balance. Be present, but allow independence. Encourage effort, not just result. Celebrate progress, not only perfection.
All right, thank you so much. To summarize, the psychologist explained that parental accompaniment can build confidence and motivation, but if done harshly, it can damage mental health, right? Balance between support and independence is essential. But before we conclude, let us allow a short final exchange for parent and teacher. Would you like to add anything to close your statement?
Yes, I still believe that parents should have a freedom for what it is to guide their children closely. Teachers see my child only a few hours a day, but I see them every evening. It is my right and responsibility.
All right, and I understand and I agree with your responsibility as parents, but guidance should not mean inference. We must remember that children need consistency when they learning, and that is why communication between parents and teacher is crucial. If we work together, the child will have a benefit, and if we competence, the children will be suffering and have a difficulty. Yes.
All right, thank you both, and thank you to all speakers today. To summarize our whole discussions, the first one is the parent emphasized responsibility and personal knowledge of the child. And then the teacher highlighted risk of interference and stress professional expertise. And then the student described feeling both like supported and pressure depending on the approach. And then the headmaster support involvement but called for structured cooperation between school and home. And then the last one, the psychologist underlined the importance of balance for emotional well-being. In conclusions, parents should indeed accompany their children in studying, but always with the balance, encouragement, and in cooperation with schools and teachers. Only then can children truly benefit from both family and formal education. That brings us to the end of our discussions today. Thank you everyone for participating this section. Have a nice day.
Thank you.